It's the end of the decade as we know it, and I feel fine. Now, if you're a fan of REM, you may recognize that as a play on one of their songs. With a little over 5 weeks left in 2019 and in this decade, I don't know about you, but I definitely want to end the year feeling more than fine. Welcome, everyone, to this live recording of episode number 248 of the In a Weekend podcast. I'm your host, Yong, and I'm on a mission to help 1,000 women create and launch their podcasts in as little as a weekend, all in the next year. With a podcast, you're able to reach more of the people that you want to connect with and serve at a higher level, making the type of impact you want to make. And the way we do it here is by helping you to be strategic with your content planning and to repurpose your podcast into multiple kinds of content so that you have ways to connect with people on multiple platforms. Now, as the year winds down and we get closer and closer to its end, have you thought about how you want to wrap up this year? I've talked to a lot of people lately who say, there's only a few weeks left in this year, so I'm just going to, let it slide and whatever's going is going. I'm not going to do anything new. It's just going to be what it's going to be. Is that you? Do you slow down when it gets close to the end of the year? I personally have done that tons of times. And each time I did that, I kept thinking, well, next year it'll be different. I'll be gung-ho and do something special to wrap up the end of the year and celebrate with a bang. And then I would repeat the process over and over of letting those last weeks slide by. Well, I'm here to tell you today that I don't want to do that anymore, and I would encourage you not to do that either, because when it comes to New Year's Eve and the fireworks are out in the sky and I have my glass ready to toast and ring in the new year, I definitely want to celebrate you and your podcast. With only 5 weeks left in the year, is there still time to launch your podcast? I know you've been thinking about it. So many people reach out to me and tell me secretly that a podcast is on their wish list, but for one reason or another, it just doesn't get done. And I want that to end right now. If you've been putting off creating a podcast of your own, if it's a dream you've been carrying in your heart and in your head for a while, or maybe it's something new you've discovered and you're eager to dive in, I'm here to tell you today, my friends, there is still time. And if you launch your podcast this year in 2019, your year is sure to be more than just fine. I want to share something with you today that I've been thinking about for a while because I really want to help as many women as possible create those podcasts, because we as women often tend to hold ourselves back thinking there's going to be a perfect time to launch something like a podcast. There's always going to be more time. Well, last week on the podcast, we talked all about legacy and how a podcast can be part of your legacy because it lives on past you. It's a documentation of your passions, your missions, your work. It's a testament to who you've served and how you've lived your life. It most certainly can live on past you and act sort of as a time capsule for your kids and generations to come. If you missed last week's episode, number 247, I will link it up in today's show notes because you definitely want to take a listen, probably multiple times, because when it comes to leaving a legacy, it's more than just about setting goals. It's really about planning for the future and the kind of future that you want to create. What is the legacy you want to leave? How do you want to be remembered? Well, the podcast is an amazing way to do that. And with that, I want to let you know that for the final time this year, the final time this decade, I am opening up the doors to Podcast in a Weekend. This episode airs on Thursday, and if you're listening anytime past that in November, the doors will be open. Now, the reason I'm opening them before Black Friday and Cyber Monday is this. You're busy. Your inbox is likely being flooded like mine is with all sorts of offers for deals and things to buy, most of which are things that really won't move the needle forward for you or your business or even your family. Investing in yourself, in your message, in your business with Podcasts in a Weekend is an amazing way that you can start building a legacy and getting really strategic about the kinds of content you are creating. What I love teaching more than anything is how to create content like this, a live video, which you can then turn into all sorts of content, including audio for your podcast, videos that live not only here on Facebook, but over on YouTube and on your website. It's really about creating once and multiplying that message in its entirety or just in little pieces or little commercials that you can post and share across many different kinds of social media. I'm all about efficiency and simplicity, and after having done it the hard way for a long time, making all the mistakes in the world, really spending way too much time, way too much effort, and way too much money doing it the old school way, when I discovered that you could actually repurpose content, it was a game changer. And I want to show you how you can do the same. I love to see you inside of Podcast in a Weekend. We're going to kick off the class the first weekend in December 2019. And if you are not able to attend live, there's no worry about that because everything will be pre-recorded for you or recorded and then saved for you inside of our course platform. Now, why is that important? As we inch closer to the end of the year, I know that there are more commitments likely on your plate. Your kids may have school performances and productions. You may attend holiday parties for your job or your significant other's job. You may just get to go and attend more get-togethers in general. No matter what it is, I want to make sure that you know that even if you aren't able to attend live throughout the weekend, you can still have success with your podcast. A few weeks ago, when we were doing our series all about variety is the spice in your podcasting life and all the different things you can add or take away from your podcast to really make it something that works for those you want to serve, as well as you as the creator and the podcaster. I brought on a guest on the fourth of that series, Nicole Thompson. Now, Nicole hopped into the very first session of Podcast in a Weekend, and within 4 hours, you heard that right, 4 hours, she had messaged me and said, I'm finished. I've created my podcast, I've uploaded it, and it's ready to be released on all of these platforms. What do I do next? And as you can imagine, my jaw hit the floor, and I thought, oh my goodness, I had no idea it was even possible for someone to go through all of my course materials, implement it, and launch in just 4 hours. I had planned for it to unfold over the course of a weekend because I know as women we are busy, we are often the caregivers, we have lots of things to do on the weekend, and I built it to be done in little pockets of time that we have throughout the day and even throughout the weekend. The time between taking one kid and another to a weekend activity, or the time that you have to yourself as dinner is in the oven ready to be eaten in an hour's time or so. I created it for those pockets. But just imagine my surprise when she said 4 hours, she was done, and she revealed on our interview that she really wanted to prove me wrong by taking my class. She wanted to be the student who hopped in and then did not complete her podcast in a weekend. She wanted to really stand up and say, no, there is no way it is possible. And I have to tell you, I love her for doing that because she pushed me and challenged me and the methodology that I teach inside the class on how you can easily and quickly launch a podcast without it taking weeks or months or even years. I've had students come to me and a podcast has been on their wish list for literally years. And within a single weekend, they had crafted their entire podcast and submitted it to the different platforms for distribution. That's a big deal. It's a game changer. If you have a message that you know that can affect more people positively, a podcast is a great way to do that. A podcast is portable. People can literally take your message with them wherever they go, whether or not they have access to Wi-Fi. When they're out for their daily walks, you can be in their earbuds. When they are driving their kids to activities, you can be there encouraging them with your gifts, your talents, and your skills. And yes, I know you all have them. And the catchword that people are throwing out there, or the buzzword that I hear a lot, is that you're an expert. And again, as women, we often want to push that title aside, not thinking that we are deserving. Well, I'm here to tell you, my friends, that you are absolutely deserving. If there's something that you can do to help others get wins in no matter what area of their lives, that makes you an expert, my friends. And I want you to claim that expertise and hop into the last session of Podcast in a Weekend that happens in December. The doors are open right now, and you can save your seat at yongpratt.com/podcast in a weekend. Now, the doors will close the Thursday before the class begins that first weekend. I want to say that it's the 6th of December. I don't have my calendar sitting in front of me for this live today, and that's my bad. I will make sure I have all the dates for you, and I'll pop them below so you can check them out. I also do want to say that this is the last time that Podcast in a Weekend will be offered at this price. That is $3.97. When the new year rolls around, we'll have new pricing on that because we have some special things we want to throw in the mix to help you be more successful with your podcast. So there you have it. You can end your year feeling fine, or you can end your year feeling on fire by creating and launching your podcast in a weekend. And yes, you can launch it by the end of the year. Before December 31st rolls around, your podcast can be live on platforms for other people to enjoy, for other people to learn from you and be inspired by what it is that you are creating in the world. I would love to see you in that class, the final one of the year, the final time we're offering it at this price. There's no better time than right now, so we can end this year and this decade with a bang. To save your seats, head over to yongpratt.com/podcast in a weekend. As always, my friends, it is a privilege and an honor to spend time with you. I appreciate your showing up every week to listen or watch these live recordings because I know how valuable your time is. I look forward to helping you in any way that I can and serving you, and I hope that you'll be inside of Podcast in a Weekend so that you can be one of the 1,000 women that I want to serve in this next year. I wish you all an amazing day, and I'll catch you on next week's episode. Cheers, my friends.